we initially had Starolos written in PHP, and we decided to migrate to Padrino. What was the thinking behind that decision?
Well, the main thing, I guess, is that we needed a platform that would scale and that was flexible enough so that all the additions that we'll make to this as time goes were really simple and easy to make. I think that was the first and the most important reason why we changed to Padrino.
And when you say flexible, what do you mean by flexible?
It's just the fact that we have loads of, I say, add-ons. The way we build this platform is generally in a really modular way, and then we can plug things together, and they just all do their own thing. Like, let's say we have an ACL that is handling all the permissions, and it's just working on its own, but integrates with every other model really well. So by having that kind of flexibility, we gain a lot.
And so, I mean, there's other frameworks out there like Ruby on Rails. They would say it's very flexible too because you've got all these gems. So how does that compare against Padrino?
Well, what I say is that Padrino is it has all the benefits that Rail has, but it's just a lighter weight player on this somehow. It just it gives you all the same functionality pretty much. But you're not paying the cost of having a platform that is just sometimes just full of things that you won't really use, which turns into performance issues and different things as well.
Okay. And so one of the things that people have said is that you're using Padrino. It's not necessarily a stable release. Maybe Ruby on Rails is much more stable. Why was your thinking behind that? Is it something we should worry about? When putting out a production app that's mission critical, and we've got it on this platform?
No, I wouldn't really worry about it because Padrino is based on Sinatra, which is a really stable platform itself, and the fact that it's on a really low number, you could say, because it's in 0.10 at this stage. It doesn't really mean anything. The whole web is better at this stage, so it's just growing and growing, and it progresses as time goes. So I'd say that it's not a really big deal. And just on that, it's nearly stable right now. It's almost 1.0, so that will be really good as well.
Okay. And I suppose because it's an open source project, one of the key things you're always looking at is what's the community like in any open source project. And so what is the community behind Padrino like? I understand you met one of them.
Yeah, I met Davide, which is one of the main core developers of the application. And they are just great. Everyone is always contributing, and they do different things, and always trying to improve this and other platforms. Because it's not this is not just Padrino itself. Since it's linked to many other projects, everyone contributes to those projects as well, including Rails as well. So it's always this community that helps everyone, and not only themselves but the environment too.
Okay. And so what about testing? Does Padrino have any speciality functionality for testing? Or
as modular as it is, allow you to plug in pretty much any testing framework that is out there. At the moment you're using RSpec, but that's our choice. You can use anything. Even now they added support for Minitest, which is the new standard in Ruby, so just put that out there.
Cool. So let's talk about, I suppose, maybe the front end, because Padrino is really looking at the back end. So we also made a decision to work with Backbone in terms of front end. So again, what was the decision behind that? Why did we use Backbone? Why did we not just go to HTML and then just jQuery?
I think that the main point with going with something like Backbone is that we needed a structure that was robust enough, and that's generally the issue that we have on the front end. Particularly with an application like Ordo, where we need something that there will be different components on the side that will interact in different ways, and it will be quite heavy for a single page app. So we need something that will make it as modular as possible, and Backbone definitely gave us that structure.
Okay, so I mean, working with something like Backbone, obviously it's a JavaScript. It's quite new. We've heard 37 Signals talk about it, and they're making changes as well. What difficulties did you hit with using Backbone? Was it plain sailing? Was it beautiful to work with, or was there difficulties as well?
No, it was. It wasn't that straightforward. I'd say we had loads of things. issues that came up, and we solved some of them. For instance, we decided to keep things as as simple as possible, and let's say instead of using I don't know, I say nested attributes or that kind of stuff that we could have used because it simplifies the development at the very long term. It was just way easier and simpler to follow the structure of the application and everything. If we just made like separate models and having REST calls going back and forth to the server, which at the end of the day allow us to build an API which is cleaner.
Right. And so just by nested attributes, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's mainly when you have model and it has relations and you are building those relations through this model.
So essentially you're trying to nest all the relations inside of the initial model as you requested. And
Yeah, so that it's simpler. So let's say if you have a person that has a few addresses, then what you'll do is you will put all of those addresses when you're constructing this person. So therefore, at the end, you have this person object which all of them built, and you don't have to go to different places to build those addresses.
But we tried that, and it's sort of...
Yeah, we tried that, we implemented it, and we decided it's not really a really good idea to go, particularly with Backbone itself. It just doesn't fit. It brings lots of issues, and then again, the architecture that we push with Ordo, which is mainly based on steps, and then we have these workflows going on all over the place to simplify how the user interacts with the app. It just didn't really fit that kind of interaction.
Okay. And do you think something like nested attributes should be something that should be revisited? I mean, in a modular sense, in a conceptual sense, it makes a lot of sense, really.
Yeah.
But then when it came to the implementation, we were hit with issues, I remember, around ACL, access to certain objects and different things like that. Do you think it's something that we need to figure out at some point, or was it just a bad idea to go that way at all?
No, I just say that it's useful. It's really useful, and there are efforts out there right now. For instance, you're seeing things, even though it's not nested attribute itself, but it's stuff like backbone relational or different libraries that are coming out, and they are providing some kind of relation functionality between models, which will help at the end. And I guess that is something we may end up using later on, but not at this stage, because what we need right now is already covered, and it's just way simpler the way it is now.
Yeah. And one of the things that we've done, we've talked about Padrino, we've talked about Backbone. When you plug the two together, you get what we've kind of described as an MVC VC kind of an application, where you have kind of a back-end logic and you have then front-end logic. Working with the two sets of logic, because you're not just dealing with one, say, code base. What was that like? Is that difficult to debug, say, or?
It is and it isn't. The good thing is that, for instance, on the client side, as browsers evolve, particularly Chrome, we have all of these tools that allow us to do debugging in real time, and then it's really straightforward to actually step into the code and follow everything, and then we can actually do it very well. And then on the back end, from a debugging point of view, we use a lot of PRI, which allow us to do stepping into the code really, really easily, and that helps too. I say that even though this is like an MVC somehow, our backend itself, our Padrino application, behaves most like an API. So somehow all the outputs that come from that place are really simplified the JSON strings. So at the end of the day, it's easier to debug as well. That makes it easy.
Okay, so there's some work been done, I think, by Google and at Asana, that they're trying to create a language that you don't have to be coding on the back end and on the front end, because web applications are becoming, they're becoming kind of glued together. What do you think? I mean, looking forward, do you think languages like that and the model that we're building on? What do you think about those?
I say that at the moment, the way I see a web refuge is JavaScript. I wouldn't really replace it with any other language, because the ubiquitous of JavaScript is everywhere. So you can use it in every language and in every device, and then again, it's really flexible. And if you manage to combine that with things like OfficeScript, for instance, you end up with a really clean syntax, easy to read. I'm not saying that just because it's similar to Ruby, but it's really, really simple to reach, and then you end up with a platform that works anywhere because you already have it on the servers, like Node.js and all the creative services that came after that, and it just works really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
I wouldn't go with any other.
Okay. Cool.
Good stuff.